Chapter 1. The Storm Within. There comes a moment in every life when the noise becomes too loud. Not the noise outside, not the traffic, the phones or the endless stream of information, but the noise within. It's the noise of overthinking, of worrying what people think, of replaying every conversation, every failure, every moment when you felt small or unseen. You try to sleep, but your mind races. You try to focus, but your emotions pull you apart. You try to move on, but every little thing still gets to you. A word, a look, a comment, and it lingers like an echo you can't silence. Maybe it's a coworker's tone. Maybe it's someone's judgment. Maybe it's your own reflection whispering that you're not enough. Whatever it is, it keeps stealing your peace. And deep down, you ask yourself the same question, again and again: why does everything affect me so much? Why does the world seem to have power over my emotions, my energy, my sense of worth? If that question has ever lived in you, then this journey is meant for you. Because this audiobook isn't about escaping the world, it's about mastering yourself. So deeply, so completely, that nothing outside of you can shake the calm that lives within. Imagine this: you're standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is screaming, the rain is sharp against your skin, and chaos surrounds you. But inside, you are still. You watch the storm, but you are not part of it. You see the lightning flash, but you don't flinch, because you've learned the secret. The one thing that changes everything. Peace isn't found when the storm stops. Peace is found when you stop letting the storm control you. That's what this journey is about. To stop letting anything affect you doesn't mean becoming cold or numb. It means learning to stand so rooted in who you are, in your truth, your awareness, your presence, that nothing outside can pull you out of yourself. Most people live life like leaves in the wind. Every opinion blows them in a new direction. Every failure shakes their confidence. Every disappointment becomes a wound that won't heal. They live reactive lives, always chasing validation, always fearing rejection, always trying to manage how the world sees them. But freedom, real freedom, begins when you understand that nothing anyone says, does, or thinks has the power to define you. You give that power away every time you react, every time you absorb someone else's energy as your own. And here's the truth that few ever realize: the world is not attacking you, it's reflecting you. Every moment that stirs emotion within you, every person who irritates you, every situation that frustrates you, is showing you something unhealed inside yourself. The world is your mirror, and until you learn to master your reflection, you'll keep fighting shadows that live only within you. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who carried a cup of coffee through a crowded street. Someone bumped into him, and coffee spilled all over his shirt. Angry, he shouted, "Look what you made me do." But the truth is, the person didn't make him spill coffee, they only revealed what was inside his cup. If tea had been in the cup, tea would have spilled. If water had been in the cup, water would have spilled. Life works the same way. When life bumps into you, when someone offends you, betrays you, disappoints you, what spills out is whatever was already inside you. If peace is inside, peace spills out. If anger is inside, anger spills out. The world doesn't create your emotions, it reveals them. So the first step in mastering your peace is to stop blaming the bump and start examining the cup. You can't stop people from being rude. You can't stop life from being unpredictable. But you can stop giving them the power to decide how you feel. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means understanding that your energy is sacred, that your peace is not a public playground for other people's storms. Think about how much of your life has been spent reacting to things that no longer matter. Arguments that ended years ago, criticism that came from people who never truly knew you. Moments that existed for a heartbeat, but have haunted your mind for years, all because you didn't yet know that peace is a choice, not a reward the world gives you, but a state you choose to keep. To stop letting anything affect you is not arrogance, it's maturity. It's the moment you stop trying to control what happens and start mastering how you respond. You don't have to defend every action or prove every intention. You don't have to fight for peace, you just have to stop giving it away. In the noise of modern life, people think resilience is about fighting harder. But true resilience is silent. It's choosing to remain still when the world expects you to react. It's learning to be unmoved, not because you're emotionless, but because you've become anchored in awareness. Awareness is the beginning of power. When you begin to observe your emotions instead of being consumed by them, everything changes. You start to see that not every thought is true, not every feeling is permanent, and not every reaction deserves your energy. This is where your journey begins. In the space between the noise and your response, in that pause, that sacred gap between what happens and how you react, lives the secret to inner peace. The world will always have something to say. People will always have opinions, chaos, drama, and noise. But when your inner world becomes louder than the outer one, when your silence speaks more powerfully than their words, you've found the essence of strength. That's what we're going to build together in this audiobook, layer by layer, chapter by chapter. We'll strip away the illusions that make you reactive. We'll uncover the truth of emotional mastery, and will awaken the stillness that no one can touch. Because when you reach that level of awareness, when you no longer bend under pressure, when nothing outside of you can pull you off center, you become untouchable. Not because life stopped testing you, but because you stopped losing yourself to the test. So take a deep breath, let the old noise fall away. You've carried the weight of other people's energy, opinions, and chaos long enough. This is the beginning of something new, the moment you reclaim your peace, your strength, yourself. In the next chapter we'll go deep. We'll explore why things affect you the way they do, the hidden patterns that give the outside world control over your emotions, and how to break them for good. Because once you understand the root, detachment becomes natural, and when you learn to master your inner world, the outer one can no longer touch. It often happens in an instant. Someone says something, and suddenly your chest tightens. A memory flashes, your breath changes, your body reacts before your mind even understands why. You tell yourself, "I'm fine," but inside, something has already shifted. You've been triggered, and that trigger, invisible yet powerful, begins to steer your emotions, your thoughts, your words, even your energy, without your permission. What if I told you that most of what controls you is hidden beneath your awareness? That the majority of your reactions, your anger, your insecurities, your fears, are not about the moment at all, but about the memories it touches? Because here's the truth. You're not reacting to what's happening, you're reacting to what it means to you. And that meaning is built on layers of experiences you've never fully seen, questioned, or healed. Imagine your mind as a vast house with many rooms. Some are bright and open, filled with joy, laughter, and peace, but others are locked, dust-covered, forgotten. Inside those locked rooms live your triggers, your unhealed stories. Maybe one door holds the sound of being criticized as a child. Another hides the moment someone you loved walked away. Another still, the years you felt invisible, unseen, or not good enough. Now, every time life knocks on one of those doors, the emotion you thought was gone rushes out. A stranger's tone feels like rejection. A friend's success feels like your failure. A partner's silence feels like abandonment. You think the world is hurting you, but it's really just knocking on your old doors. Let's be honest, it's not easy to admit that something small can make us feel something big. We like to believe we're in control, that we've moved on, that we've healed. But healing doesn't happen just because time passes. It happens when awareness enters. You can't stop your triggers by avoiding the world. You stop them by seeing them with eyes wide open. Because once you see the pattern, it begins to lose its power over you. A woman I once knew lived her life walking on eggshells. She couldn't stand conflict. The moment someone raised their voice, her stomach dropped and her heart raced. She thought she was just sensitive, but when she finally looked deeper, she realized that her reaction wasn't about the argument in front of her. It was about a childhood filled with shouting, where raised voices meant danger, fear, and shame. Every time someone got angry, she wasn't facing them, she was facing her past, and her body remembered. When she finally saw this truth, she didn't just understand herself, she began to free herself. Because awareness turns pain into power. Once you see the pattern, it can't hide anymore. Every trigger is a teacher. It's not there to punish you, it's there to show you where you are still giving away your peace. When someone disrespects you and you can't stop thinking about it, that's not weakness, that's an invitation to look within. When you feel jealous, anxious, or defensive, that's not failure, that's awareness knocking. The emotion itself is not your enemy. The emotion is a messenger. It says, there's something here you haven't healed yet. But here's what most people do. They run. They distract themselves. They bury the emotion with work, entertainment, food, scrolling, or blaming someone else. And the cycle continues. Triggered, reaction, regret, repeat. To stop letting anything affect you, you must turn toward the discomfort. You must walk into the room you've been avoiding all your life, not to suffer, but to reclaim what's been trapped inside it. That's how you become free. Because the moment you can observe your trigger instead of becoming it, you rise above it. You begin to realize, this feeling is not me, it's just a story moving through me. And that's when detachment becomes real. There's a subtle shift that happens. When you practice awareness, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to show me? That single change in perspective transforms your entire emotional life, because it moves you from victim to observer, from reaction to reflection. When you observe, you gain power. When you react, you lose it. That's why calm people seem powerful, not because nothing happens to them, but because nothing owns them. They've trained their awareness to stay rooted even when emotions rise. So how do you begin to identify your triggers? Start with presence. The next time you feel your emotions spike, pause. Don't run, don't suppress, just breathe. Ask yourself gently, what am I really feeling right now? What does this moment remind me of? Where have I felt this before? The answers might surprise you. You'll find that the things that affect you most aren't random, they're echoes of your own story. Each realization is a key unlocking another door in that hidden house of your mind. And with every door you open, you reclaim more of yourself. Remember this truth. No one can push your buttons if you stop handing them the remote. Every time you take responsibility for your reaction, you take back your power. And it's not about blaming yourself, it's about liberating yourself. Because once you see that no one can make you feel anything without your participation, you realize how free you truly are. That's when life changes. That's when the outside world starts losing its grip on your peace. The deeper you go into awareness, the more you'll notice something profound. The same situations that once triggered you now pass through you like wind, through open hands. You watch them come, you watch them go, and in that stillness, you find power greater than anything you've ever known. Because the more you see yourself clearly, the less the world can control you. So as this chapter closes, take this thought with you. Every trigger you face is not an obstacle, it's an invitation. Every reaction is not weakness, it's a mirror. And every time you choose awareness over reaction, you are rewriting your story. You are no longer the person the past built, you are becoming the person awareness awakens. In the next chapter, we'll go even deeper. We'll explore how to disarm those emotional triggers, how to stay calm, centered and clear in the heat of the moment, even when life hits hardest. Because mastery isn't about never feeling. It's about never losing yourself in what you feel. And that is where real peace begins. End of Chapter 2, The Hidden Triggers That Control You. Transition to Chapter 3, Disarming the Emotional Reaction. It happens faster than thought. A flicker, a spark, and suddenly the fire is lit. Your pulse quickens, your voice tightens, your heart feels like it's trying to leap out of your chest. Someone said something that hit the wrong nerve. Someone disappointed you. Something didn't go your way. And before you know it, your peace is gone, stolen by a reaction that felt automatic. But what if it didn't have to be? What if that single explosive moment, that tiny space between what happens and how you respond, was the doorway to freedom itself? Because that's where mastery begins. In the few seconds where emotion knocks and awareness decides whether to open the door. We live in a world that worships reaction. Every post demands a comment, every disagreement turns into a debate, every opinion becomes a battle. People don't pause anymore. They fire back. They speak before they breathe. They move before they think. And the result? A society full of people exhausted by their own emotions. You see, emotion itself isn't the problem. It's the instant surrender to it that robs us of peace. Anger, sadness, jealousy, these are natural visitors. They come to teach, not to stay. But when you let them take over the house, they start running your life. Disarming emotional reaction doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. It means you learn to feel without losing yourself. Imagine this for a moment. You're sitting beside a still lake. The surface is perfectly calm, a mirror reflecting the sky. Now someone throws a stone into the water. Ripples appear, spreading outward, distorting the reflection. But if you wait, if you don't stir the water further, the ripples fade, the lake returns to stillness on its own. That's what awareness does. It lets the ripples settle without you jumping into the lake, trying to fix them. When you react instantly, you become the storm. When you pause, you remain the lake. Let me share a moment that changed my life. Years ago, I was in a heated conversation with someone I cared deeply about. They said something harsh, words meant to sting. I felt my chest tighten, my mind raced with comebacks. Every cell in my body screamed, "Defend yourself." But something in me, small, quiet, said, "Wait." So I didn't speak, I just breathed. One slow, deep breath, then another. And in that pause, I watched the emotion instead of becoming it. I saw the anger rise, peak, and slowly begin to fade, all within seconds. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm, my words were clear, and the moment that could have become a war became peace instead. That was the first time I realized silence is not weakness, it's strength in its highest form. Because silence gives you space to see clearly what emotion tries to blur. When emotion takes over, logic disappears, the brain shifts into survival mode. You stop seeing what's true and start defending what's wounded. That's why the pause is sacred. It gives your awareness time to return before your emotion decides your fate. Here's the truth most people miss. Your emotional reactions aren't random, they're rehearsed. They're habits wired into your nervous system by years of repetition. But the moment you pause, you break the pattern. You teach your mind that you are not a slave to your conditioning. And in that one breath, you begin to rewrite your emotional programming. So how do you disarm your reactions in real life? Let's break it down. Step 1. Recognize the surge. Before the words leave your mouth, before your expression changes, there's a feeling, a spark in the chest, a tightening in the stomach. Learn to notice it. Step 2. Name it. Say to yourself quietly, "This is anger," or "This is fear." By naming the emotion, you separate from it. You remind your mind, "This is something I'm feeling." not something I am. Step 3, breathe. One deep, slow breath through the nose. Feel the air move in, then out. This is not a cliche, it's biology. This single slow breath activates your parasympathetic system, the part of you that restores calm. Step 4, observe instead of engage. Let the emotion move through you like a wave. You don't have to fight it, fix it, or analyze it. Just watch it pass. You'll see it rise and then dissolve. And finally, step 5, respond. Don't react. When your peace has returned, choose your response not from the wound, but from the wisdom. Disarming emotional reaction is not about control, it's about clarity. Because emotion clouds the truth, it magnifies the moment until it feels like the end of the world. But when you let the emotion settle, you see clearly again, and clarity is freedom. You stop saying things you regret. You stop fighting battles that don't matter. You stop letting small moments decide the course of your day. Instead, you begin to live with intention, guided not by impulse, but by understanding. Here's the paradox. The more aware you become, the less you need to defend yourself. Because awareness shows you that most of what you take personally isn't personal at all. When someone criticizes you, they're projecting their own fear. When someone lashes out, they're drowning in their own pain. And when life throws chaos your way, it's not testing you, it's refining you. You stop fighting the noise because you've learned to listen beneath it. The world teaches you to react. Awareness teaches you to respond. One comes from fear, the other comes from peace. Every time you pause, you strengthen the voice of peace. Every time you resist the urge to react, you take another step toward mastery. And slowly, reaction loses its grip. You begin to experience life from a place of stillness, a place where no external event has the power to control your internal world. That's what true emotional power feels like: calm, steady, unshakable. So remember this: when emotion rises, it's not a command, it's an invitation. An invitation to pause, to breathe, to choose who you want to be in this moment. Because between the emotion and your action lies the birth of your peace. And if you can master that moment, you can master your life. As we move into the next chapter, we'll take this even further. We'll explore how to reprogram your mind, how to reshape the thoughts and beliefs that create your emotional patterns in the first place. Because disarming a reaction is powerful, but dismantling the root that causes it, that's transformation. And when you reach that level, not only do you stop letting anything affect you, you start influencing the world around you with the calm and strength of your inner peace. End of chapter 3. Disarming the emotional reaction. Transition to chapter 4. Reprogramming the mind for unshakable calm. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine walking through a dense forest at night. The trees tower above you, their branches tangled like the thoughts in your mind. You can barely see where you're stepping. Shadows shift, sounds echo, and every rustle makes your heart jump. Now imagine someone hands you a lantern. Suddenly, the path ahead is illuminated. The forest hasn't changed, the trees are still there, the wind still whispers, but now you can see. You're no longer afraid of the dark, because you've brought your own light. That's what reprogramming your mind is. It's learning to bring light into the places that once controlled you. In the last chapter, we explored how to pause and disarm emotional reactions, but now we step deeper, to the very root of what creates them. The unconscious programming that runs your life when you're not aware. Because here's the truth: you don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every reaction you have, is filtered through the beliefs your mind has collected since the day you were born. And if you've ever wondered why the same situations keep triggering you, it's because your mind keeps replaying the same story over and over, hoping you'll finally wake up and rewrite it. The human mind is a magnificent machine, but it's also a loyal one. It doesn't question your beliefs, it obeys them. If deep down you believe you're not enough, your mind will find evidence to prove it. If you believe the world is hostile, you'll interpret every glance as a threat. If you believe people can't be trusted, you'll see betrayal even in kindness. Your outer reality bends to match your inner assumptions, and until you change the programming, life keeps mirroring the same lessons in different disguises. Let's make this real. Think about the last time something upset you, really upset you. Maybe someone ignored your message. Maybe you made a mistake and couldn't stop replaying it. Maybe you were criticized and it burned longer than it should have. That pain didn't start with the moment itself. It started with the meaning your mind attached to it. Your mind didn't just say, "They didn't reply." It said, "They don't care about me." It didn't say, "I made a mistake." It said, "I always fail." That extra layer, the story, is where suffering is born, and that story is written by your subconscious programming. You were programmed long before you ever knew what programming was. As a child, your mind was open, soft, impressionable. You absorbed beliefs from the people around you, their fears, their limitations, their expectations. If you grew up being told to stay quiet, you might now equate expression with danger. If you were often criticized, you might equate mistakes with shame. If love was conditional, you might still be chasing approval, mistaking validation for connection. These beliefs live in the background, shaping your emotional reality, and unless you consciously rewrite them, they'll keep running the show, silently, automatically, endlessly. So how do you reprogram your mind for unshakable calm? How do you replace old patterns of fear and reactivity with awareness and peace? It begins with 3 powerful steps. Step 1, awareness. See the program. You can't change what you can't see. So the first step is to observe your mind without judgment. Start to notice your thoughts as they arise. Notice how your mind loves to tell stories. "I'm not good enough. This always happens to me. They don't respect me." When you catch these thoughts, don't fight them. Don't argue. Just see them. Imagine you're watching clouds drift across the sky. They pass. They move. They're not you. This simple awareness begins to loosen their power. Step 2, question the story. Every belief that limits you was once just a thought, and thoughts can be rewritten. So when an emotion rises, ask yourself, what belief is fueling this? For example, if you feel anxious when someone doesn't respond, the hidden belief might be, "I'm not important." If you feel defensive when criticized, the hidden belief might be, "Mistakes make me unworthy." Now challenge it. Ask, is this absolutely true? Who would I be without this story? When you shine awareness on false beliefs, they begin to crumble, not because you fight them, but because you see through them. Step 3, replace the code. Once you've seen and questioned the old programming, it's time to install a new one. Every time your mind says, "I'm not enough," answer it gently. "I am growing, I am learning, and I am already whole." When it says, "They don't care," remind yourself, "My peace does not depend on anyone's approval." When it says, "Everything goes wrong," affirm, "I am strong enough to handle what comes, and I choose to stay calm." This isn't about blind positivity. It's about retraining your neural pathways. Every thought repeated with awareness becomes a new default setting in your mind. Over time, peace becomes your habit, calm becomes your nature, and nothing outside of you can shake what you've built inside. Remember, you're not your thoughts. You're the awareness that sees them. Your mind is the instrument. You are the musician. When you learn to play consciously, even chaos can become harmony. Think of a piano. If someone slams the keys, it's noise. But in the hands of awareness, those same keys create music. The notes haven't changed, only the consciousness behind them. That's what happens when you reprogram your mind. Life doesn't become perfect, but your relationship with it becomes peaceful, graceful. The greatest shift you can ever experience is realizing that calm isn't something you chase, it's something you create, and you create it through the thoughts you choose, the beliefs you nurture, and the stories you refuse to repeat. Your mind is always listening, so speak to it as you would to a child, with love, patience and truth. Because every loving thought you plant today becomes tomorrow's peace. Reprogramming your mind isn't a one-time act, it's a daily devotion, a commitment to meet yourself with awareness instead of reaction, to return, again and again, to the quiet center within you, until it becomes your home, and the more you live from that center, the more unshakable you become. People can misunderstand you, circumstances can shift, storms can come, but your peace no longer depends on them. You carry it with you everywhere you go. So as we step forward from here, let this truth sink deep. You are not a victim of your mind. You are its creator, its reprogrammer, its master. Every thought is a choice. Every belief is a doorway. And when you choose peace, consistently, consciously, the old code loses its hold. That's how you stop letting anything affect you, not by controlling life, but by transforming the one who's experiencing it. In the next chapter, we'll take this transformation even further. We'll explore the art of emotional detachment, how to remain deeply compassionate, yet completely unaffected by the chaos of others. Because peace doesn't mean withdrawing from life, it means engaging with it from a place of unshakable strength. And that strength, my friend, is already within you, waiting to be remembered. End of Chapter 4, Reprogramming the Mind for Unshakable Calm. Transition to Chapter 5, The Art of Emotional Detachment. Picture this. You're standing in the middle of a raging storm, wind howling, rain slamming against your face, lightning flashing across the sky. Everything around you is chaos. Yet, somehow, you're still calm, untouched, because you've realized something life-changing. The storm isn't inside you, it's only around you. That's what emotional detachment truly is. Not coldness, not indifference, but the rare, sacred art of remaining at peace while the world around you trembles. There's a quiet power in those who don't get easily shaken. You've seen them, the people who don't react when others lose control, who smile when things fall apart, who seem to move through life as if they've found a secret rhythm the rest of us can't hear. They're not lucky, they're trained, they've learned the art of emotional detachment, not by shutting down their feelings, but by transcending them. You see, emotional detachment isn't about feeling less, it's about understanding more. It's not about withdrawing from life, it's about engaging with it from a place of mastery instead of reaction. Imagine a mirror. When something beautiful stands before it, the mirror reflects it perfectly. When something ugly appears, the mirror reflects that too, but it's not affected. It doesn't cling to beauty or resist ugliness. It simply sees. That mirror is what emotional detachment feels like. Clear, open, aware, and untouched by what passes before it. But here's the challenge. Most people are not mirrors. They're sponges. They absorb everything, the moods of others, the tension in the air, the opinions, the drama, the noise. They don't just experience emotions, they inherit them. And so they spend their lives exhausted, trying to fix what was never theirs to carry in the first place. Let's be honest, the world today feeds on emotional reaction. Everything is designed to provoke, to polarize, to pull your attention and stir your feelings. You're constantly told to care about what someone said online, about how people perceive you, about every minor injustice that flashes across your screen. But when you react to everything, you lose the one thing that makes you powerful, your center. The more reactive you are, the easier you are to control. The calmer you are, the more untouchable you become. So what is emotional detachment really? It's the spiritual art of allowing everything to exist without letting anything control you. It's being able to say, I see this, I feel this, but I choose peace. It's knowing that your emotions are visitors, not owners of your home. And here's the paradox. The more detached you become, the deeper you can love, because love, when freed from attachment, becomes pure. It's no longer "I need you to make me happy," it's "I'm happy, and I choose to share that with you." True detachment doesn't kill connection, it refines it. Let's explore how to cultivate this art, not as an idea, but as a living experience. There are 3 stages of emotional detachment. Stage 1. Observation. Creating space between you and the emotion. When emotion arises, don't rush to label it or react to it, just observe. Imagine a flame flickering inside a glass lantern. That glass is your awareness. The fire can burn, dance, flare, but it can't hurt you. So the next time anger rises, don't say "I'm angry," say "anger is visiting." When sadness appears, don't say "I'm sad," say "sadness is here." That small shift in language is massive, because the moment you see emotion as separate from who you are, you stop being its prisoner and become its observer. Observation is the first act of freedom. Stage 2. Acceptance. Letting it flow without resistance. Emotional detachment isn't about suppression, it's about allowance. Whatever you resist, persists. Whatever you accept, dissolves. If you try to fight anger, it grows stronger. If you try to escape sadness, it follows you. But when you breathe and allow it to pass through you, it loses power. Acceptance means saying, "Yes, I feel this, and that's okay." You stop judging your emotions as good or bad, right or wrong. You start treating them as what they are, signals, not identities. And when you stop identifying with them, your peace returns naturally. Stage 3. Transcendence. Choosing response over reaction. Now comes mastery. This is where emotional detachment turns into inner power. When something happens, someone criticizes you, life throws a curveball, you pause, you breathe, and instead of reacting, you respond. A reaction is automatic, a response is conscious. Reacting is driven by pain, responding is guided by awareness. The more you practice this pause, the stronger it becomes. It's like building a muscle, the muscle of stillness. And soon, that stillness becomes your default state. Let's make it personal. Imagine someone insults you. Old programming would make you defend, attack, or internalize it, but detachment allows you to see the pain behind their words. You realize they're projecting their own wounds, and just like that, their words lose their sting. You no longer absorb the venom, because you recognize it as theirs, not yours. That's the beauty of detachment. You stop drinking poison handed to you by others. Here's the truth. Emotional detachment isn't distance from life. It's intimacy with reality. It's seeing things as they are, not as your emotions paint them to be. It's no longer begging for peace. It's becoming it, because when you detach, you no longer depend on circumstances for stability. You find your stability within. The outside world becomes a stage, not a battlefield. And you calm, conscious, aware, become the still point around which it all spins. There's a story of a monk who was once asked, "Master, what is the secret to peace?" He smiled and said, "I stopped arguing with reality. That's it. Emotional detachment is the end of resistance. It's meeting life as it is, without demanding that it be different. When you stop arguing with what's happening, you reclaim your energy, and in that quiet acceptance, you find strength deeper than control, the strength of surrender. So, if you wish to master emotional detachment, begin here. Be fully present, feel deeply, but never let any feeling decide who you are. Stand in the storm, but don't become the storm. Love others, but don't lose yourself in them. Care deeply, but release the need to control outcome. That's not detachment, that's freedom. And soon, you'll notice something miraculous. Where others see chaos, you'll see clarity. Where others drown in reaction, you'll float in awareness. You'll stop chasing calm. because calm will live in you. You'll smile when things fall apart, not out of denial, but out of knowing that nothing real can ever be threatened. In the next chapter, we'll take this transformation even further, because detachment is not the end, it's the bridge to something greater, emotional transmutation, the ability to turn pain into power, loss into wisdom, and chaos into clarity. You'll learn how to alchemize emotion, to transform the very energy that once controlled you into the force that sets you free. Until then, remember this: you were never meant to control the ocean. You were meant to learn how to sail through it, gracefully, peacefully, untouched. End of Chapter 5, The Art of Emotional Detachment. Transition to Chapter 6, The Alchemy of Emotion, Turning Pain into Power. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine holding a handful of burning coals, the pain of betrayal, disappointment, loss. You clutch them tightly, not realizing that the only one being burned is you. Now picture yourself dropping them, not in anger or avoidance, but in understanding. You watch the flames fade, and what's left is not ashes, it's gold. That is the alchemy of emotion. The transformation of suffering into strength, of wounds into wisdom, of pain into power, because you see, emotions are not your enemies. They are raw materials, energy waiting to be shaped. Anger, sadness, fear, regret, these are the fires that can consume you or forge you into something unbreakable. The choice is yours. Every great transformation in history began with friction, with discomfort, with the breaking of what once was. The diamond is born from pressure, the phoenix rises only after it burns, and the human soul, your soul, grows through pain that demands to be transmuted, not avoided. Pain is not punishment, it's instruction, it's energy in disguise, waiting for you to see what it truly is. The universe is not trying to break you, it's trying to wake you. It depends on whether you learn how to direct it. When someone hurts you, when life knocks you down, when everything inside you screams, "Why me?" that's your moment of alchemy. It's the invitation to stop running from the fire and start learning how to use it. Because when you transmute emotion, you stop being a victim of your story and start being the author of it. Let me tell you a truth most people never realize. Every emotion carries a message, and if you don't listen to it, it repeats. Fear says you're out of alignment. Anger says something inside you needs protection. Sadness says something precious has been lost. Guilt says your values and actions are not matching. The emotion is not the problem, ignoring it is. When you face the emotion, breathe through it and ask what it came to teach you. It transforms. What once felt heavy begins to reveal hidden strength. That's emotional alchemy, listening instead of running, transforming instead of suppressing. There are 3 stages to mastering emotional alchemy, and every soul that seeks freedom must pass through them. Stage 1, the awareness of the fire. You cannot transform what you refuse to feel. Most people live trapped because they're afraid to sit with themselves. They numb, distract, scroll, work, or escape. But here's the truth. Emotion that isn't expressed doesn't disappear. It hides, waiting for the next trigger, the next disappointment, the next heartbreak to surface again. To become an alchemist of your emotions, you must begin by facing them. Sit with the fire. Let it burn through illusion, denial, and resistance. Name what you feel, not to justify it, but to bring it into the light of awareness. Because when you see the emotion clearly, you reclaim your power from it. Stage 2, the reclamation of energy. Once you've faced the emotion, the next step is to harness it. Here's something extraordinary. Every emotion carries energy. Anger has power. Fear has focus. Sadness has depth. Even heartbreak has beauty. Most people waste this energy fighting it, but you can redirect it. Take your anger and turn it into discipline. Turn your fear into preparation. Turn your grief into compassion. Ask yourself, what can this energy create if I channel it with wisdom? Because emotion is energy in motion. It only becomes poison when it stagnates. Let it move through you with purpose, and it will transform into strength. This is what great creators, athletes, visionaries, and mystics all share. They learned how to turn their storms into fuel. Their greatest pain became their life's power. Stage 3, the gift of transcendence. The final stage of alchemy is transcendence, when you no longer resist emotions, nor get lost in them. You use them. You understand that every wave of feeling is temporary, but the consciousness observing it is eternal. You begin to realize something profound. You are not your pain. You are the awareness witnessing it. You are not your anger. You are the space that holds it. You are not your grief. You are the sky beyond the storm. And when this realization dawns, something miraculous happens. Emotion becomes art. Your wounds begin to shine as wisdom. Your tears become poetry. Your scars turn into light. You start to see that life was never trying to break you. It was sculpting you into someone unshakable. Let's pause here and breathe that in. Think of the hardest moment you've ever faced, the one that felt unbearable. Now look at who you became. Because of you may not have realized it then, but that moment was your initiation. It stripped away illusions and showed you your real strength. Pain is not the opposite of peace, it's the path to it. Because peace that hasn't been tested by pain isn't real, it's just comfort. But the peace that grows out of suffering, that's eternal. There's an ancient saying, the same fire that melts butter hardens steel. The fire isn't the problem, the substance is. So when life heats up, don't ask for less fire, ask to become stronger steel. Don't pray for an easier path, pray for the wisdom to walk the one you have with grace. This is emotional alchemy, taking the energy that once destroyed you and making it the very force that rebuilds you, turning heartbreak into compassion, turning fear into courage, turning disappointment into direction. Every emotion that once weakened you can now empower you, if you let it. The energy that used to chain you can become your wings. So the next time you feel pain, don't say, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this trying to awaken in me?" Don't suppress it, don't drown in it. Sit with it, breathe through it, listen to it, and then transmute it. Turn your pain into purpose, your emotion into evolution. Because when you learn to do that, nothing can ever defeat you again. Not people, not circumstances, not loss, because everything becomes fuel for your becoming. In the next chapter, we'll go even deeper beyond emotion, beyond reaction, into the pure stillness of the observer. You'll learn how to live from that place of unshakable presence, where nothing external can disturb your inner balance, where life moves, people change, storms come and go, and yet you remain steady, silent, free. But before we move on, remember this: you are not here to escape the fire, you are here to become it, to burn with awareness so bright that even your pain becomes light. That is true alchemy. That is the beginning of real freedom. End of chapter 6. The alchemy of emotion, turning pain into power. Transition to chapter 7. The observer within, finding stillness beyond reaction. Chapter 7. The silent test. When the universe goes quiet, there will come a time when everything you've learned, everything you've practiced, and everything you've believed will be tested, not by chaos, not by noise, but by silence. No signs, no answers, no movement, just silence. And that silence will echo louder than thunder. It's in that sacred quiet that many lose faith. They think the absence of movement means the absence of meaning. But the truth is, silence is not the end of your story. It's the sacred pause before transformation. It's the still breath before a wave crashes, the invisible heartbeat before a miracle appears. When the universe goes quiet, it's not ignoring you. It's listening. intently, patiently, waiting to see if you are still speaking your truth even when no one else hears it. This chapter is about that test, the silent test. The space between intention and manifestation, between your prayer and its answer. It's where many give up. It's where dreams fade, where doubt whispers, maybe it wasn't meant for you. But silence is not a void. It's a mirror. It reflects what's inside you. It shows you whether your faith is rooted in outcomes or in trust. Because it's easy to believe when signs are everywhere, when doors open, when people applaud, when everything aligns. But can you still believe when the lights go out? Can you still hold your vision when nothing outside you confirms it? Imagine walking through a dense fog, unable to see more than a few steps ahead. You don't know what's next, only that you're being called forward. That's what the silent test feels like. Every step demands faith, not sight. Every breath is an act of courage. You check for signs, nothing. You ask for answers, silence. You reach for reassurance, emptiness. But here's the hidden beauty. While you think nothing is happening, everything is. The soil is stirring beneath your roots. The seed you planted is splitting open in the dark. And the silence, it's the sound of divine preparation. You can't hear it yet, but the universe is rearranging itself to honor your persistence. Let me tell you something real. Every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, has passed through this valley of silence. It's where strength is forged. It's where authenticity replaces performance. It's where desire becomes devotion. You see, the universe doesn't reward talent or intelligence alone. It rewards endurance. It rewards the ones who keep showing up, even when they can't see the results yet. And maybe right now, that's where you are, standing at the edge of uncertainty, wondering if your prayers have expired, wondering if you're being punished or forgotten. You're not forgotten. You're being refined. The silence is the universe's classroom. It teaches you what no words can. It sharpens your awareness, strengthens your patience, and tunes your spirit to hear whispers that others miss. Think about it. When a musician tunes their instrument, they don't play loud. They listen closely. When a sculptor carves stone, they work in silence. When the seed grows beneath the soil, it doesn't make a sound. Silence is not stillness. It's alignment. It's precision. It's evolution happening behind the curtain. You're not stuck. You're in the sacred stage between no longer and not yet. No longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. It's uncomfortable, yes, sometimes painful, but this is where your inner foundation takes form, where faith stops being an idea and becomes a force. The silence asks you one question: do you trust me? Not, do you trust the outcome? Not, do you trust the timeline? But, do you trust me? And that me, call it the universe, God, Source, the higher self. It doesn't matter what name you use. What matters is that you learn to lean on something unseen. Because that unseen is where all creation begins. Silence is not punishment, it's preparation. The delay is not denial, it's design. You are being shaped into someone who can hold the weight of what you've asked for. Because a dream without depth will collapse under its own success, and silence builds depth. Picture a bow being pulled back. The tighter it's drawn, the more force it builds. The longer it waits, the farther the arrow will fly. That's what's happening when nothing seems to move. You're not being held back, you're being pulled back, so you can soar farther than you ever imagined. But if you give up during the pull, you'll never see the release. So the next time life goes quiet, don't panic. Don't assume something's wrong. Instead, whisper to yourself, this silence is sacred. Something is aligning for me. I will not rush the rhythm of my destiny. One day, you'll look back on this quiet season, and it will make perfect sense. You'll see how every unanswered prayer, every pause, every moment of stillness was orchestrating something far greater than you could have written for yourself. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of hidden motion, divine timing, unseen blessings waiting for their cue. So hold your ground, keep your faith steady. The silence is not the end. It's the space where your new beginning gathers strength. And when the universe finally speaks again, when the stillness breaks and the light returns, you'll realize something extraordinary. You didn't just survive the silence, you became it. Calm, unshakable, whole, because the silence didn't come to test what you knew. It came to reveal who you are. And in the next chapter, we'll uncover exactly what happens when the silence breaks, when destiny begins to answer back. Chapter 8. The moment of breakthrough. When stillness meets power, have you ever stood at the edge of a cliff, looking out at endless sky, your heart pounding, and realized that the only thing holding you back was the fear inside you? That is the threshold we are about to cross in this chapter. The place where stillness meets power, where patience meets action, and where your inner transformation finally begins to manifest outwardly. The moment of breakthrough is not sudden. It's not a loud explosion or a dramatic twist of fate. It's a quiet, almost imperceptible shift. A single moment when everything inside you aligns with everything around you. It is the culmination of every lesson, every pause, every silent test you endured. And when it comes, you'll feel it deep in your chest, like the first warm light breaking through the cold darkness of winter. It's unmistakable, it's inevitable, and it will never allow you to settle for anything less than your full potential again. Think back to every challenge that felt impossible. The moments when life seemed determined to test your limits, when your patience frayed and hope seemed distant. Each of those moments was not punishment. It was preparation, a subtle, invisible choreography of your growth. Breakthrough doesn't happen because life finally gave you what you wanted. Breakthrough happens because you finally gave yourself permission to rise beyond what used to define you. It is the point at which your inner stillness, the calm, unshakable core you've been cultivating, begins to radiate outward. The storms no longer move you, the criticisms no longer sting, the setbacks no longer deter. You realize that power was never in controlling circumstances, it was always in mastering yourself. Imagine a river flowing tirelessly for years, carving valleys and shaping mountains. The water doesn't force its way, it doesn't rage blindly, it persists. It adapts, and eventually it breaks through rock that once seemed immovable. That river is you. Your persistence, your patience, your continued alignment with your inner truth. This is what eventually causes breakthrough. Notice this. The river doesn't stop when the rocks resist. It doesn't lament the obstacles. It simply keeps flowing, and so must you. It is gratitude mingled with awe, a recognition that every tear, every moment of doubt, every act of letting go has been part of a sacred process. When you experience it, you may feel tears rise, your body may tremble, and your mind may finally quiet itself in wonder. You are no longer a prisoner of circumstance. You are a witness to the extraordinary life that emerges when you refuse to be shaken. Your patience, your discipline, your inner work, these have aligned every fiber of your being with what is coming. You've learned detachment, you've learned emotional alchemy, you've endured silence, and now the invisible currents you've been swimming against begin to carry you forward effortlessly. You'll notice that when breakthrough occurs, it rarely looks like what you imagined. It may not be a grand announcement or a moment of recognition from the outside world. More often, it is subtle. A door opens quietly, a relationship shifts, an idea sparks, an opportunity arises. The outer world finally reflects your inner alignment. Let's bring this closer to your own life. Have you been waiting for someone to validate you? Waiting for external signs of success, love, or approval? Breakthrough teaches you that the only validation you need has been inside you all along. It is the calm certainty that you are enough, that your path is unfolding exactly as it should, and that the world will bend in harmony with your persistence and alignment. This is freedom, not temporary relief, not fleeting luck, but freedom rooted in self-mastery and unwavering presence. Breakthrough is also transformative in how you view challenges. Once you've crossed this threshold, obstacles are no longer threats. They are tests, yes, but also catalysts, sparks that ignite deeper understanding and wisdom. You no longer react in fear or frustration. You move through life with clarity, choosing your responses instead of being driven by them. And here is something profoundly liberating. This power is renewable. The inner alignment that brings breakthrough once can be refined and strengthened. Every new challenge is not a threat to your peace, but an opportunity to deepen it. Now let's visualize it fully. Close your eyes and imagine your breakthrough as a sunrise over a mountain you've been climbing for years. Each step was a struggle, each gust of wind a test of your perseverance. And now, standing at the peak, you see everything clearly: the path behind, the valley below, the horizon stretching endlessly ahead. The climb was hard, but it was necessary, and the view, it is more magnificent than you could have imagined. That is what breakthrough feels like inside your own spirit. It is perspective, power, peace, and clarity all at once. One final truth about breakthrough: it is not permanent, and it doesn't need to be. Life will continue to challenge you. Circumstances will shift. People will disappoint. But after breakthrough, you have developed something that cannot be taken away: your inner unshakable center. You've learned to move through life without being controlled by fear, emotion, or opinion. You've learned to let the world exist around you without surrendering your power. And that is a skill far more valuable than any material reward. So, as we close this chapter, carry this with you. Breakthrough is not the arrival of perfection. It is the emergence of strength, clarity, and alignment born from all that you've endured. It is the moment when your inner work finally meets the world, and the world begins to meet you on your terms. And in the next chapter, we will explore how to sustain this breakthrough, how to live from it consistently, not just in fleeting moments, and how to make unshakable presence a permanent way of being. Chapter 9. Living from Unshakable Presence, the practice of consistent freedom. Picture a tree standing alone on a windswept plain. Storms lash at its branches, lightning strikes the ground nearby, the rain pelts down in sheets. Yet the tree does not tremble. It bends, it sways, it absorbs the force, but it does not fall. That is presence. That is the state we are about to explore, the ability to exist in life fully, powerfully, and unshakably, no matter what chaos surrounds you. Because breakthrough is not enough. Momentary alignment is not enough. Life will always test you. People will always challenge you. Circumstances will continue to change, and if you want to stop letting anything affect you, truly, deeply, permanently, you must learn to live from presence. Presence is not passive. It is not withdrawal or numbness. It is the active, conscious choice to stand fully in your power, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, regardless of external conditions. Imagine standing in a crowded room. Voices clash, opinions bombard you, emotions flare. Most people react instantly, like a leaf caught in a storm. But you are the tree. Your roots are deep, your awareness is wide, and your spirit is calm. That calm is not indifference, it is mastery. The first step toward unshakable presence is self-awareness. You must recognize every moment when your energy is hijacked by fear, anger, or expectation. Most people live unconsciously, reacting like puppets to circumstances and the moods of others. But presence begins when you pause, even for a fraction of a second, and ask yourself, is this mine to carry, or is this someone else's projection? When you make that pause habitual, life's chaos loses its power. Your mind no longer dictates your reactions, your consciousness does. Next, presence requires anchoring. Anchoring is finding the internal reference point that is steady, regardless of the outer world. It can be a breath, a mantra, a sense of gratitude, or simply the awareness that you are more than any circumstance. Imagine standing in the eye of a hurricane. Around you, the wind screams, the rain lashes, debris flies, and yet in the center, there is perfect stillness. That is what an anchored mind feels like. You are aware of everything happening around you, but nothing outside can shake the stillness inside. Let's consider emotional discipline. You've learned to transmute emotions, to alchemize pain into power, and to endure silence. Now it is time to integrate that mastery into daily living. When someone criticizes you unfairly, instead of reacting, you observe. When life throws an unexpected obstacle, instead of panicking, you assess. When fear whispers, instead of succumbing, you anchor and choose your response consciously. This is not denial. It is not pretending. It is profound engagement with reality without being consumed by it. Presence also involves understanding the impermanence of everything. Every thought, every emotion, every event is a wave, rising, cresting, falling. When you identify as the wave, you are tossed and battered. When you identify as the ocean beneath the waves, you remain unshaken. Your awareness is the ocean. Life is the weather on the surface. Storms will pass, waves will break, and yet you remain vast, still, and alive. Practical daily practices can cultivate this presence. Mindful observation. Start each day noticing sensations, thoughts, and emotions without judgment. Witness them, then release them. Breath mastery. Use your breath as a tether to the present moment. Deep, conscious breathing anchors you when external forces try to pull you off balance. Daily reflection. At night, review moments when you were reactive versus present. Learn from these reflections to strengthen your inner stability. Intentional detachment. Remind yourself that most external events are not personal. Other people's behavior, opinions, and circumstances do not define your peace. Through consistent practice, presence becomes automatic. You no longer rely on circumstances to dictate your emotions. You become the calm in the storm, the unmovable foundation, the observer who chooses how to respond rather than the reactor who is controlled by events. Consider this story. A monk once told his student, "The world can hit you with 1,000 storms, but if your mind is grounded, no storm can harm you." The student asked, "But what if I fail to remain grounded?" The monk replied, "Then you simply return to your center. The storm cannot enter what is already still." That is freedom. That is living from unshakable presence. It is not perfection. It is not rigidity. It is conscious, fluid mastery over your inner state. And here is the subtle truth. The more present you become, the less life affects you. But paradoxically, the more fully you experience life, you feel joy without attachment, you love without fear, you act without desperation. The intensity of life increases, but the burden decreases. You are no longer a leaf tossed by the wind. You are the wind, you are the soil, you are the tree. So, as we approach the final chapter, remember this: unshakable presence is not an achievement, it is a lifelong practice. It is cultivated, maintained, and strengthened with awareness, discipline, and intention. And when it becomes your default state, nothing external can control your inner peace, your power, or your joy. The world may attempt to distract you, provoke you, or test you, but you will remain rooted, anchored, and free. In the next and final chapter, we will tie everything together. We will explore how to live fully, fearlessly, and unaffected, not as a fleeting practice, but as the foundation of your life. You will discover how to integrate emotional mastery, breakthrough, stillness, and presence into a single, unshakable state of being. Prepare to step into the ultimate freedom. Chapter 10. In Unshakable Freedom. Integrating mastery into every moment of life. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and stepping into the world without fear, without doubt, without the constant weight of expectation pressing against your chest. Imagine moving through life with the calm certainty of a mountain, yet the fluid adaptability of a river, untouched by chaos, unwavering in presence, and fully alive to every moment. This is not a fantasy. This is the culmination of everything you have learned, practiced, and experienced throughout this journey. This is unshakable freedom. Freedom is more than escaping challenges. It is not simply avoiding emotional pain or external interference. True freedom is the mastery of your inner state, the ability to live fully and powerfully regardless of what happens around you. Think about it. Throughout life, you've encountered storms, criticism, delays, and setbacks. Many have caused fear, anger, or frustration. But imagine if none of those storms could penetrate your inner fortress. Imagine carrying your peace and power with you like a shield that is invisible, unbreakable, and radiant. This is the essence of unshakable freedom. It is the art of moving through the world without surrendering your energy, your joy, or your clarity. The foundation of this freedom is awareness. It begins with noticing when your mind has been hijacked by thoughts that do not serve you, by emotions that are borrowed from others, by expectations that do not belong to you. Awareness allows you to pause, choose, and respond consciously. It is the gateway between reaction and mastery. Without it, you are simply drifting in a sea of circumstances. With it, you are anchored, purposeful, and invincible. And next comes integration. All the lessons of this audiobook, silence, patience, breakthrough, presence, must become woven into the fabric of your daily life. You've practiced stillness, now bring it into conversations, decisions, and actions. You've endured silence, now let it guide you instead of panic or anxiety. You've experienced breakthrough, now let that energy fuel your consistent presence. Integration is living these truths, not just thinking them. It is no longer separating practice from real life. Every moment becomes practice, every action a reflection of your mastery. Consider the metaphor of a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not move. Storms crash against it, waves batter it, darkness surrounds it, yet it shines, unwavering, constant, and reliable. Unshakable freedom is your lighthouse. You may face turbulence, but your light remains bright. You are the observer, the guide, and the unmovable center. When others are swayed by drama, when circumstances shift unexpectedly, your state remains stable. You respond with clarity, compassion, and power. You do not absorb chaos. You transform it into insight. Living from this freedom also transforms your relationship. No longer dependent on validation, you can love authentically. No longer reactive to criticism, you can communicate with clarity. No longer controlled by fear, you can inspire and uplift others without losing yourself. Freedom is contagious. As you cultivate it, those around you are drawn to it, not because you demand attention or respect, but because your presence radiates integrity and calm mastery. Let's take a moment to anchor this in your mind and body. Imagine yourself walking through a crowded street. Cars honk, voices clash, people jostle. Most are anxious, frustrated, reactive. You move through it effortlessly. You hear the noise, but it does not penetrate your calm. You see the chaos, but it does not disturb your clarity. You feel the pulse of life around you, yet you remain unmoved at your center. That is unshakable freedom. That is mastery in action. That is life lived fully, powerfully, and without compromise. Every moment offers a choice: to react unconsciously or to respond consciously, to let circumstances dictate your peace or to assert your inner authority. You are no longer at the mercy of external events. You are sovereign over your mind, your emotions, and your energy. You choose your state. You choose your actions. You choose your life. And with consistent practice, this choice becomes second nature. You no longer need reminders. Your presence, your alignment, and your mastery are instinctive. Freedom is not static. Life continues to bring new challenges, new storms, new uncertainties. But once you embody this mastery, nothing can truly disturb your inner equilibrium. You meet each challenge with grace, each setback with resilience, each success with grounded gratitude. You have learned to let nothing affect you, not because you are detached from life, but because you are fully present in it. Not because you are indifferent, but because your inner foundation is unshakable. Now imagine looking back at the journey you've just traveled. You've crossed the stormy valleys of doubt, navigated the silent tests of the universe, reached moments of breakthrough, cultivated unshakable presence, and now stand fully in freedom. Everything you've practiced, every insight, every reflection, has led you to this point. And here is the final truth. Freedom is not an endpoint. It is a continuous practice, a living way of being, a radiant state that grows stronger with each conscious choice. As you move forward from this audiobook, carry these principles with you. Anchor yourself in awareness. Integrate your mastery into daily life. Let silence, stillness, and presence guide your action. And know this, life will continue to test you, but now you have the tools, the perspective, and the inner authority to remain unshakable, no matter what arises. Take a deep breath and feel it fully. You are free, unshakably free, aligned, present, and powerful beyond measure. And this freedom is not a destination. It is your nature, waiting to be lived in every moment, in every thought, in every action. Step into it, own it, live. End of chapter 10. Unshakable freedom, integrating mastery into every moment of life. This concludes the audiobook journey. You are now equipped to move through life without letting anything affect your inner peace, clarity, or power.